look at Pablo Neruda. Now, this is weird. On Sunday afternoon, I was lying on the bathroom floor, and you don't need to know why, but I was reading the BBC's website. And there was an article on there about Pablo Neruda, the Chilean, as Americans say, Chilean, as the British say, Chilean poet, who died 50 years ago in 1973. But in very, very mysterious circumstances. Pablo Neruda won the Nobel Prize for Literature for his poetry. So he was very celebrated in that arena. But as he went along, he became a very important international diplomat and politician. He was a communist. And in 1948, communism was outlawed in Chile. Well, Pablo Neruda was outraged and protested so much that a warrant was issued for his arrest, forcing him to flee to Argentina. Years later, he got cancer and was hospitalized. This was in 1973. And while he was in hospital, there was a coup d'etat by Augusto Pinochet. Well, Neruda was outraged all over again, and because he was very, very influential, Pinochet decided to have him killed in hospital. So one of the doctors allegedly injected him with poison, and 6.5 hours later, Neruda, having discharged himself, panicked that he was going to die, went home and died anyway. But nobody really knew what he died of. There was the cancer factor. They said, well, he had heart failure. And others said, no, he was assassinated. He was poisoned by Pinochet. Well, over the years, the mystery was never solved. And in fact, they dug Neruda's body up several times and never really found an answer until this year, I think, when forensic experts found traces of botulism in one of his teeth, which would confirm that he was poisoned. But I, having no interest in this story whatsoever, was just going to let it go. And then I thought, I wonder though, while I was lying on the bathroom floor, I wonder if I can tell what really happened, if the pictures would reveal it in a crossover for Pablo Neruda. So that's what I did. And I went into the energy of the photo. There we are. That's the photo of him that was on the BBC website. And when I did, this was one of the most nightmarish, fever dreamish, hellish crossovers, transitions I have ever done. Immediately, I descended into a shape of a human body. It was almost psychedelic initially, lots of colours as I shot through this body and began slithering frenetically down a greasy black slope, on and on and on. And I sensed this lack of control. Oh my God, I can't stop, what's happening to me? On and on and on. Fever dream, hallucinations, black sliding thing. And at the bottom, there was a cave, but not the one I normally see in metaphorical form. It had a pool of, molten metal or magma in the center. It was all orange and yellow and red and stuff and looked really, really hot anyway. And Neruda, in his consciousness, came sliding down that black tunnel and right into it because he had so much momentum by that point. He stood up and he just had this magma attached to him. It was obviously like he was burning up inside, which would confirm the poison. Surely that's what botulism must do to you, I guess. But it was like he was standing there and he was just burning up. Imagine a scarecrow, which is basically the ultimate stick figure, in that position, just catching fire and burning to a cinder into the flame. Yes, it was botulism, assuming that's what botulism does to you. So I saw this scarecrow figure go into the magma and waited, and nothing happened, which is really odd because he didn't have a transition in that case. There was nothing came next. Then I looked over, and there was Pablo Neruda, sitting on the side of this pool of magma watching the stick figure representation of himself disappear into the pool. And there was a sense of wistful defeat here. Almost like, well, they got me. Wow, how fragile we are. We think we're so hardy and invincible. We're not at all. We are brittle. They really got me. And eventually he stood up in the pictures. He walked over a big sort of sloping ridge thing. And there on the other side was a version of that metaphorical cave I always see. So he did transition in the end. What was interesting was that the tunnel was enormous. And by comparison, he would be really small, which when it happens in the pictures usually is a reminder to the person in their consciousness that they weren't as great as they thought they were. Maybe Pablo Neruda had a very, very high opinion of himself. And that's what irritated these leaders and what led to his death, his assassination. And what the universe, what grace, had to knock out of him when he transitioned. Very, very